Attorney General Bondi, thank you for being here today, and thanks for your service as Attorney General of the United States. I want to start by thanking you for acknowledging a moment ago the importance of protecting the rights of the law-abiding. In a country where there are hundreds of millions of guns, one of the most alarming, not to mention unconstitutional things the government could do is to disarm the law-abiding. It would be unfair, it would be fatal to many, it would be contrary to our constitutional system. And I appreciate you standing up for that. I'm also grateful for you standing up for Gail Slater, the Assistant Attorney General over the Antitrust Division. I have full confidence in her, and I can tell you do as well. More broadly, Attorney General Bondi, through your leadership, you've returned the Department of Justice to its core mission. And its core mission, of course, involves protecting the American people, upholding the law, upholding the Constitution, and making sure that justice in our system is applied even-handedly, fairly, consistently, as the law requires, without fear, favor, or political bias making those decisions. With you as Attorney General at the helm of this great department, the Department of Justice has strengthened its efforts to secure our borders against what has been an unprecedented influx of illegal immigration. It's disrupted sophisticated networks of criminals, including people who profit immensely and have profited over the last 5 years, roughly, from a massive human trafficking and drug smuggling operation. And it also just demonstrated an unwavering commitment to the safety of American citizens. Your work has sent a clear message to criminal organizations and to criminally minded people everywhere, foreign and domestic. The rule of law in the United States will be enforced, and those who prey on the vulnerable will face especially swift and unpleasant consequences. I'd also like to commend you and FBI Director Kash Patel, Deputy Director Dan Bongino for your collaboration with state and local law enforcement in my home state of Utah in assisting with the prompt apprehension of the shooter in the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk just a few weeks ago at Utah Valley University. Your leadership has helped reaffirm that the Department of Justice exists to preserve the rule of law, to protect the peace, the safety of the American people, and ensure that our constitutional republic endures for many generations to come. Now, due to the open border policies that we had in the previous administration, a number of individuals, a number that is unknown and unknowable, but that is estimated to be in the many millions, somewhat estimated at the low end, be in the 10 million range. Others say more like 15. Others say it's more than that. But this unknown and unknowable number of individuals came across our border illegally. And an unknown number or percentage of those people are individuals who pose significant security risks, including some who were suspected terrorists. They were all allowed to enter the United States without proper vetting, in many cases without any vetting at all. What progress have you made so far, Attorney General Bondi, in solving some of those issues related to the illegal immigration of an estimated 10, 15 million, maybe more, over the last 4 years?
Senator Lee, we are working hand in hand with Kristi Noem, of course, the Director of Homeland Security. She has been doing an incredible job. All of our agencies are working in partnership with them at the direction of President Trump. He ran on the promise of making America safe and closing our borders, and that's what he did on day one. He has also declared many of these transnational gangs as terrorist organizations, which is exactly what they are. They have been coming into our country from Mexico, from Venezuela, from other countries. They have been setting up shop right in our country. They are narco-terrorists, and it is going to stop, and it is stopping under his watch. Our task forces are working hand in hand with Homeland Security. Director Patel, Deputy Director Bongino have been going nonstop to make America safe again. That's not just a slogan. That's protecting everyone in this room. That's what we're doing as a country. We don't care if you live in Chicago. We don't care if you live in Florida. We don't care if you live in Utah. President Trump wants everyone to be safe, including right here in Washington, D.C., and that's what he's been doing. Not only that, Senator Lee, the surge of drugs in this country has been horrific over the last 4 years. DEA they have seized 4,500 kilos of fentanyl powder and 50 million fentanyl pills, which I said earlier represents 370 million deadly doses of fentanyl. These transnational gangs, it's all about drugs and money, and they are destroying our country. They are destroying our children, and a lot of this fentanyl, as we know, is made, the precursors in China. They're coming in our country through Mexico and now other places, and under Donald Trump, it's going to stop because he has secured our borders, Senator Lee.
And we're very grateful for that effort. It's interesting to note, moreover, that under the leadership of your predecessor, the Department of Justice, the FBI, and others who routinely appear before this committee, when asked about the human smuggling operation going on across our southern border, routinely denied that fentanyl was coming in significant quantities through the human trafficking operation. They stated never with any evidence, never with any ability to back it up, to prove this was the case, that these things were coming across the points of entry through vehicles, through trucks, and otherwise. We know that not to be true, and we appreciate your work in exposing that. Now, in recent months, going along with this law enforcement effort, there's been a disturbing trend. It's a disturbing trend that seems to be on the increase in recent days and weeks. That is a rise of violence directed at federal law enforcement officers engaged in immigration-related arrests, including direct physical threats, organized riots outside of detention facilities, and most tragically, of late, a fatal shooting targeting an ICE facility in Dallas. Then just yesterday, it was reported that a cartel member in Chicago put a bounty, that's right, a bounty, out there offering $2,000 on information about any ICE officer and $10,000 for those who kill an ICE officer. Now, keep in mind, this information is not for kicks and giggles. It is not for a game of Trivial Pursuit. That information, for which the cartel member would pay $2,000, is there so that others can kill an ICE officer and get $10,000. That's what that is. Can you discuss what protections are essential to ensuring the safety of ICE officers and their families, and why requirements to display personal information and prohibiting them from ever wearing any kind of covering would represent a totally unacceptable, indefensible risk to their public safety?
Senator Lee, our federal agents have been doxxed, and many of you know what that means. It has happened to you on both sides of the aisle. Our federal agents' lives have been threatened. We spoke with Apple and Google to get the ICE Block app taken down. That was reckless and criminal in that people were posting where ICE officers lived. We worked with both Apple and Google to take that down.
It's stunning, I would add here, that it took as much work as it did by you to get them to take that down. Remember, in the days following January 6th, they took down all kinds of things, including a social media app called Parler, based on very thin evidence that was later largely rebutted, suggesting that people had been manipulating Parler in order to plan the January 6th attack. That wasn't true, and they took it down. I'm glad they have taken this Block ICE app down, but it's a shame that it took as long as it did, and as much work on your part to get them to take it down.
I will tell you they were cooperative, and to correct myself, it was where they were going, the jobs they were doing. And that's what's been happening, because hundreds of organized rioters, Senator Lee, are showing up where our ICE officers are. And as you know, they have fireworks, they have gas masks. You know, they don't want our officers to be protected with their identity, yet they're wearing gas masks, they're wearing goggles. And they're
So it's okay
ramming
for them to
cars.
be safe. It's okay for Antifa to be safe. It's okay for those doing the bidding of international violent drug cartels to be safe. But heaven forbid our ICE officers should be safe.
Thank you, Senator Lee.